in community with you all again for our final collective conversation of the year. If this is your first time joining us, well, welcome. And for those of you that have been joining us every month, I'm so grateful that you are coming back. My name is Taisha Ty Wilson. I serve as the Director of Engagement here at Philanthropy Together. And today I'm super excited actually about our conversation because it's a conversation with my team here at Philanthropy Together, y'all. Joining me is Isis Krause, who is our Chief Strategic Officer at Philanthropy Together, and our CEO, Sarah Lomelin. And we are just going to talk about all things collective giving, y'all, because as we say all the time, collective giving is here to stay. And in an era in the world, there's a lot of things that are taking place in our world and in our communities, y'all. Our team is all about living our values out loud, and in actionable ways, and that can show up in how we show up in collective giving. And so, Setter, you always center our team first on like with acknowledging like what's going on in the world. And I just want to give you the space to just say a word before we even get our conversation started to hit the hearts of the people that are joining us today.
Thank you, Ty. And it's such, a joy to be doing this with both of you. I feel that it's, I hope we were together in your office or mine or Isis's.
Right.
Um, but we're together in spirit. And thank you, because I feel that this year has been extremely, extremely tough in so many ways. There is so much suffering going around in the world, so much so many people um, being involved in many challenges, many tragedies. And I feel it's important for us to acknowledge that and to open space for people to reflect, to take care of themselves. And at the same time, because of the work that we do, and because we are at the end of the year, and people it's the moment of the year that people think about being generous, what they can do to support their communities. We want to focus today on something that we can do with our neighbors, with our friends. Most of the people that are watching us are already doing it, right? The power of collective giving, the power of creating community that, as you said, is rooted in values, and how those values guide the way we show up in the world. Not only about giving financially, but giving our time and our smiles and our ties and our testimony and everything. So yeah, thank you for inviting us, inviting Isis and I to
Of
this
course.
forum today.
This is what we do in our 9 to 5, but I know I we have a shared passion, a genuine passion about this work. And so I intentionally brought our team for this conversation to wrap up our collective conversation so that we can talk more about our work. And speaking of, I know some people, if unless you've been living under a rock, you probably don't know about Philanthropy Together, but we are committed to democratizing and diversifying philanthropy through the power of collective giving. But a lot of people don't know about our origin stories, Sutter and Isis. And so, why don't y'all let's just talk about what we do here at Philanthropy Together. You go first, Isis.
Thank you, Ty. So happy to be here with everybody. Yeah, so Sada and I met as part of the official launching of Philanthropy Together before it was even called Philanthropy Together. A whole bunch of Giving Circle networks came together in 2017. We had leaders from Amplifier, which is a network inspired by Jewish values, LCF, Latino Community Foundation, a network of Latino giving circles. We have Community Investment Network, a network of Black giving circles. We had Holly Lee, a leader from the Asian Women's Giving Circle, and we had Paula Liang from Philanos, which is a women's giving circle network. And those leaders, along with dozens of other Giving Circle network leaders, came together, and we asked ourselves, what is it that so many other players in philanthropy have to support them that the Giving Circle space doesn't have? And that was the root conversation that eventually turned into Philanthropy Together a few years later. I had the beyond the privilege of acting as a facilitator and sort of helper in shaping some of that vision and work. And just, it's such a joy to still be here today and seeing how our work and mission has expanded even beyond Giving Circles, which is our core origin.
Well, and Isis is being very, very humble, but she
Please.
literally, as you know, Ty, how she is, she
Yes.
literally, transformed chaos into a beautiful business plan of an initiative that was supported at the beginning by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Um, you know, a vote of confidence from the Gates Foundation was what got us started. And we launched on April 1st, 2020, and that is not a joke. And we have been learning and having the best time of our lives since we got started. At a moment when, everybody was stuck at home, we didn't know for how long, but at the same time, a moment where people were looking what was theirs to give, right? People didn't want to feel helpless. People, some people learn about how to bake bread. Other people decided to join or to start a collective giving group. In a matter of 2 months, we had people from different countries, reaching out to us and coming to our
Mm.
programs. So suddenly we saw that there was this appetite of the movement across the globe, and we have been extremely privileged to have our team coming together. At the beginning, at the mid 2020 when you started. Um, and just as evolving, tweaking. We are basically an innovation lab. So the way we do our work is by trying different things, tweaking, fixing, doing it again. And we're extremely nimble and flexible, and that has been something that um, I think shows externally to our folks.
And we've been busy since our launch, since 2020. Actually, this year we expanded our mission, y'all, to expand to include all forms of collective giving, not just like giving circles. And I'd love for you both to just kind of share more about the different models of collective giving, because we shouldn't make any assumptions of like even folks that think that they know, but let's share a little bit more about the different models that all evolve around collective giving.
I'm happy to start with this one, Sada. So, yeah, collective giving at the core, I think why we all here on our team love this model so much is it's about a group of people that come together, they pool their funding, and then they give it. And how they're giving it, how that work happens is really most often community rooted. It's bringing different voices to the table in terms of who's giving and also who's receiving. And it's fundamentally shifting and breaking down the barriers of even calling yourself a giver or a receiver in philanthropy. It's really about democratizing and diversifying what that looks like, both in terms of the who and the how. So in terms of giving circles, there are models where you have 20 people in a living room coming together, and democratically or consensus based deciding where their funding is going. You also have giving circles that are hundreds of people large who do online polling, or they're meeting virtually to do that work. And when we're talking about expanding our mandate to include all forms of collective giving, we're also including the super long legacy of women's funds that are out there that are all over the globe and rooted in the same principles of shifting who is considered a philanthropist and how that work is happening. We look at the social venture partners, SVPs. There are hundreds or almost 100 chapters, I think, around the world in all different countries. And that's a model where people are not only pooling their dollars together, but they're also really going deep and investing with their time. You're talking about models like collaborative funds, which are really scaled entities that are sometimes moving, dozens of millions or even billions of dollars in this same way that is rooted in community and bringing multiple voices together. So we're inspired by all those different forms. And again, at the root, it's about multiple people and what happens when you make collective decisions as opposed to individual ones.
And we've seen Isis, this, I really feel that because we USB Philanthropy last year, they cited collective giving as a top trend in philanthropy, and it is a movement. And so I think that a lot of people, we're seeing so many like philanthropy become more accessible to the greater public, and with the growing interest around topics that we care about, from climate change to equity. Why do y'all think that it is trending in topic right now? This form of philanthropy, this participatory form of philanthropy, is trending.
I feel that, at the core, people want to be together, right? We are hungry, and especially in a time right now that there's so many things going on. There's so much technology, right? Like a lot of us spend a lot of time, glued to our phones, and we are craving that human connection, that social interaction. Even if that social interaction is, virtually, we want to talk to other people. We want to share who we are. We want to feel that we belong to something that is bigger than ourselves. So for me, is that sense of community, and also, Ty, and I know you have mentioned in your collective conversations before, collective giving is not something new. It's not American. It's something that is as old as humanity itself. It happens all over the world, and it's that, desire of making a positive impact in your local community, is helping each other, is going back to humanity. So for me, why is trending is because this is not rocket science. It's going back to, basics, to looking at each other like a human being instead of, othering people. So I am very hopeful, and I do feel like collective giving will keep, having a bigger presence in philanthropy more and more and more.
I
And I
totally
would
agree. Oh, go ahead, Isis, please.
Yeah, no, if I can, I just would add that I think one of the biggest like trending words last year or this year that I heard was polycrisis, which is this concept that there are so many intersecting crises that our world is facing. You have climate change on top of all the racial reckoning that's happening, at least in our country and others around the world. You have income inequality. You have just so many things that are compounding, and it makes thinking through, how do I have an impact? What is mine to give? What can I do? So difficult for people to reckon with, because everyone I know like has a good heart and wants to do the best, and there's all this talk of having the most impact and then not always knowing what that means and how to do it. And by getting involved in a collective giving group, whether that's your local giving circle or whether you're a high net wealth individual giving millions of dollars through a collaborative fund, by being with other people in that process of learning and decision making and rooting yourselves in community and in values, I think it really fundamentally shifts how you're engaging in issues, what you're learning, what your viewpoints are. You sharpen your own sense of your values and what you care about, and your eyes are wide open to all the different ways that that change can happen that are rooted in community.
The polycrisis, that what an appropriate word, Isis. And I 100% agree with you both. I think that a lot of philanthropists have, rightfully so, become more impact driven and are looking to set more clear objectives and intention, that we talk so much about us being more intentional and strategic and thoughtful about how and what we are giving, and also to measure that proof of that impact. I think that's what we all want to do, right? Is to bridge these gaps and to address these poly crises that our communities are dealing with. And so I want to talk a little bit about just impact and measurement, because in our field, what they say, what doesn't get measured doesn't get done. And so in Saturday, I have heard you say, like, well, we're not little small organizing little small little quiet groups. We're big powerhouse. These collective giving groups are moving a lot of funds and resources into community and really driving impact even beyond the dollar. But I wanted us to speak to just the impact of the movement. So how what right now we have a couple of ways and different initiatives and how impact is being measured within the field. But how are collective giving groups measuring impact? What based off what you all have seen and what you have your hands in right now?
I feel that, the sometimes the issue is, and I know people are very worried about this generosity crisis and people are not
Mm,
engaging. The problem is that the research has always been about how people give to establish nonprofits. And the reality is that the way people give has changed, especially the younger generations. Um, my kids are in their, early 20s, and they don't give to establish nonprofit, but they do give and they get involved. And I feel that, a lot of times, um, that doesn't get measured, that doesn't get researched. I love what Giving Tuesday, the data commons of Giving Tuesday, is doing, that they are capturing the ways people give and the generosity in informal ways. And what they're building, and it's going to be literally open for everybody to access. It's going to be, it's a really a change, a big change into how we're going to see generosity and measure generosity. Um, you mentioned, and I'm going to, Isis, I'm going to let you talk about the landscape research of Giving Circles. Before that, I just want to mention a report that the Latino Community Foundation is about to publish, like literally, this in the next few days, about how, oh, there's a big fire truck somewhere. Okay, that's what happens in the world. um,
Real life.
this research that the Latino Community Foundation did with funding from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation a few years ago, about the relationship of health, mental health, civic engagement, and the participation on Giving Circles, right? And
Mhm.
what they saw is, taking out all those assumptions, like generosity is in the DNA of the Latino community. And there is a big relationship on how, when you are part of a collective giving group, in this case, a Giving Circle, really give you this awareness of the issues in your community, and you get more and more civically engaged. And then, Isis, I'm going to pass it to you about the landscape that we are in the, in the middle of it.
Yeah. So when we were talking about our origin story, what I failed to mention there is that came on the heels of the last U.S. Landscape research of collective giving overall in 2016. That was where we found out the big numbers of there being around 1,600 giving circles. We based a lot of our goals as an organization based on that data around how many more giving circles do we think could exist in the world, and could the movement grow to in the next few years. And so we're super excited to have worked really, really hard with the Johnson Center and with Colmena Consulting on this next round of the research that has been happening for the last few months. We're currently in the data analysis phase, and then we'll be releasing that data in the first few months of 2024. And we're excited. We've seen some of the preview of that data. We've been to a few conferences already sharing some of those preview stats, but the trends that we're seeing really align with what we're sharing out in the world, and what a lot of giving circles and giving circle networks are sharing, that this way of giving is more rooted in trust. It has different representation of who is included. There are fewer strings attached with the gift. So when we're talking about concepts and themes of trust-based philanthropy, and we say that giving circles and collective giving groups are a prime example of that, that's what we're seeing in the data as well, which makes us really excited. And we're actually just right now, this time looking at not only what is happening through a survey analysis, but also qualitatively as well. So we're doing individual discussions. The researchers are with a lot of different giving circle leaders and members and other networks and infrastructure players, trying to get a real deep sense beyond what the data says, but what individuals in this movement are saying as well.
And something that I feel that it's important to mention about, collective giving, and, in this, in particular, Giving Circles, collaborative funds, there's a lot of education that goes,
Yeah.
and learning that that takes place, right, is not only a passive way of giving and giving together, but it's how you get more engaged with the causes that you care about, right, and with the people that you're giving together. And as Isis mentioned, these blur lines of power dynamics, that it's extremely powerful. So yeah, we're very excited about the landscape research.
And when we talk about collective giving, the 5 T's we often talk about, because yes, it's our treasure that we give out and in these groups, but it's all of the different other informal ways that traditionally we haven't measured. And so I'm hopeful. I'm excited to see what the research, what reveals from that. And Isis, you mentioned a little bit about just trust-based philanthropy. A lot of people don't know, they've heard of it or heard of the term, but are unfamiliar with the concept or the principles. Why do you think this form, like this way of grant making, is being utilized so much within these collective giving groups, trust based philanthropy, and the principles there in it?
Yeah, really good question, Ty. And I've had a lot of individual conversations with Giving Circle members and really across the field of collaborative funds. I think when you come in as somebody who is not giving or doesn't consider themselves a philanthropist, there is this idea and concept that I have to be really tight with where my money goes and I want to measure the impact of every single dollar and where that's going. And as soon as you really get into this space of giving and the nonprofit sector and really understanding the deep, deep challenges and biases that nonprofit leaders face, especially leaders of color, that you really change how you consider giving and what that looks like. And so the Trust-Based Philanthropy Project has been doing an incredible job pushing out this concept of trust-based philanthropy, which is rooted in not restricting how you're giving and instead really being in rooted and trusting relationships with the nonprofits or the entities doing and the leaders on the ground doing that work. Which, back to what we were saying, sort of blurs the lines between what it looks like to do change and the role that we all have to play in that. And so I see a lot of what's happening right now, that collective giving groups are able, once folks get into them, are able to change how people think and how they're giving. And that's what then we're seeing in the data as well.
And the exciting part, I think, also is that many groups that were used to give in a more processy oriented way are really embracing trust-based philanthropy,
Mhm.
participatory grant making, just to bring voices of the community closer to the decision making. And really, I feel that this is something that started during COVID, because people didn't want to leave money on the table, right? We needed to move the money fast. We wanted to support our nonprofit leaders, and the way of doing it is, just taking out all those hoops and hurdles that sometimes philanthropy and the big philanthropy makes nonprofits do, and giving circles, collective giving groups, collaborative funds move a little bit faster than that.
I love that we're talking so much about trust. Sarah, you talked about just like the issues and, just in our community. I think there's just, there's there's definitely a very apparent level of distrust that is plaguing communities. And I really think that, especially being a leader of a giving circle, the circle of trust that my group has been refreshing, refreshing. And so we know that centering trust, y'all, is like a core theme of many of these collective giving groups, as is diversity, other values like diversity and inclusion. And so even just talking about that, the diversity and inclusion piece, and how effective and how these groups are going about the with including diversity and embedding diversity and inclusion within their work. In what ways do y'all feel that that these groups are being very effective in driving diversity, and what does that really truly mean when we even say that we want more people that are closest to the issues to have a seat at the table?
I can just going to say something really quickly, Isis, and then I'll pass it to you. I feel, and something that I love about, the collective giving model is that anybody can do it and the
Right.
assumptions are gone. And for many communities, especially communities of color, younger folks, religious minorities, people think of us as recipients of philanthropy and not as philanthropists. And it's extremely important to change that assumption, because in a collective giving group everybody can participate, because as Isis said, there are giving circles that have 20 members and give $100 a month to collaborative funds that move hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's just about getting involved, getting engaged, not waiting for someone else to do it, but really,
Hmm.
participate yourself. And what we have seen is that, again, even groups that were created without any diversity are becoming more and more diverse, because at the end of the day, diversity gives you a richness of perspectives, of ideas. I mean, in everything, a diverse group of people will make a better decision than an homogeneous group of people. Isis, take it away.
No, I couldn't agree more with everything you're saying. I think one form of collective giving that we're really excited about here at Philanthropy Together are community-led collaborative funds. And these are collaborative funds, but they're specifically led and rooted in the communities of focus. And so sometimes others are calling them lived experience-led collaborative funds, or participatory funds, or activist funds. There's lots of different names for how this work is unfolding. But I think what's so exciting about that, it's not it's not a group of high net wealth donors coming to the table and deciding where gifts are going, even if they're doing that collectively, which is wonderful and better than doing individually. But it's the communities themselves, it's the organizations on the ground themselves coming together and saying, we don't see enough funding happening in this specific space or in this geography or the like, and they're coming together and rallying, and then being paired and working together with a number of different philanthropists to then move that and change that. And overall, for collaborative funds, I think the research shows that almost 50% of them are led by people of color and women and non-binary individuals, compared to only 10% of US foundations. So, if you're looking at entities that are moving many billions of dollars a year, as foundations are, the makeup of who is in that decision-making table is really, really different. And so I think there's so much potential for collaborative funds to help change big P philanthropy as well.
I says 10% community versus 50%. That is, you talk about impact. And when we
Totally.
talk about diversity, we're not just, sometimes here in the States, we can kind of box ourselves in with diversity. We think about race, but it really is diversity of, like you said, lived experiences, ISIS, of even placement, diversity of locations, right? And Satter, you mentioned it earlier, collective giving is not anything new, right? And it's not even like American. Like when I think about just collective giving, this is a global movement. And I'd love for you all to even for us to talk a little bit about that reach across the, internationally, of how are these collective giving groups being scaled to address even kind of larger and more complex global issues. Yeah, like even from that diversity perspective, because we're all going through it here and across the oceans.
Totally. Totally. And I want to first start by saying that everybody is welcome, in our Philanthropy Together family, right? It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter which country, which city, which town, you are welcome here. We have been extremely, lucky, grateful, and we to have amazing partners internationally. In Germany, in China, in Singapore, in Mexico, in Brazil. Just this in December of 2023, I was part of a conference called Shift the Power in Colombia, in Bogota. And it's about how do we move more money from the global north to the global south. And what was extremely exciting was that in every single breakout or conversation that I participated, there were people excited about collective giving. People talking about, oh, we host a giving circle, or we want to start a giving circle. I met so many people from collaborative funds in the south, right? The example of China. When we first started talking with our partners in China, they had 2 or 3 given circles. They have more than 30 now in 3 years. There is a big, appetite of young professionals to start giving circles that are serving as grant making entities in China. um, in Germany, we have a couple of partners that have started giving circles in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. In Mexico, we were working with community foundations to host giving circles as a way to really create this culture of philanthropy around their institutions. And Isis, I will tell you a little bit about. I will let you talk a little bit about the collapse in the South.
Yeah, I mean, there are hundreds of collaborative funds in the South as well. One of the research team, Bridgespan Group, that does a lot of the research around the collaborative fund space, they're just completing some work around looking at collaboratives in India and in China and in the global South. So lots of reports to come in 2024, I'm sure, to share those numbers. I think the other piece I wanted to share tied to your question is that when we're thinking about collective giving groups and the spectrum of engagement, so many collaborative funds actually started as giving circles. So a great example is Pillars Fund. It was a giving circle of Muslim men and women who came together and were pooling their funding. And over time, as they grew, as their own wealth increased, as they were able to give more, they took themselves to the next level and realized it wasn't only about the giving of dollars and what this small circle could do, but it was this whole much bigger mission around changing the narrative of being a Muslim in this country and all of the surrounding programming efforts that they could do there. And now, as a collaborative fund, Pillars Fund is doing incredible work, moving lots more money than when they were just a giving circle, and also able to do all of those wraparound pieces of narrative change and programming and the like to switch mindset. So those sorts of examples are really exciting. Another one is in India. Dasra is an enormous group that I think moved $300 million last year or something, like just really, really large group. They have a number of different collaborative funds, and they also started really in the space of giving circles as well. So just really exciting to see how I always say, Ty, you remember from our Launchpad trainings that I used to co-host with you. I miss those days. But like, where you start isn't where you end. And I think collective giving really proves that. You might start with 5 people around your living room table, and you could be giving millions of dollars a few years later, or you might not be giving millions of dollars, but you've made some other huge impact through the other, time and talent and testimony that you have to offer. And that's what really excites me.
As you were sharing out these groups, it's like so much good work is being done in house within these collective giving groups. I'm always thinking about better ways and how we can raise awareness and get more individuals to be a part of this magic of these collective giving groups. Like, what do y'all think? What are some strategies for the circles that are out there, as well as just us as leaders, members of this movement? What strategies do y'all think do we need to be thinking through and employ to raise better awareness, to get more people to participate in these groups? Because it's happening and they are active and moving a lot of resources and breaking power and creating systemic change. We want more people involved. What can we do?
I think there's nothing better than, the peer-to-peer sharing, right?
Mhm.
The moment you share your passion and you show, real passion about something, the people around you will follow. You know, if if your friends are seeing how you are getting involved and what are you getting out of being part of a collective giving group, they will join you. A few months ago, we had a high net wealth individual donor share with other funders and donors about his own experience. And that was extremely powerful. A lot more powerful than if an institution comes and tells you, what you need to do. I feel that the one on one, when it comes, from the heart, is there's nothing more important than that.
That's
And
that
we talk about,
authenticity that we're talking about. Sorry, I
no.
Sarah, as you were talking about peer to peer, I always thinking about Cardi B, and I know she's has nothing to do with collective giving, but when you think about that level of authenticity, that peer to peer influence, that's what that we can all kind of learn something from that. When you be authentic and, like you said, like share, being real about what it is that you are a part of and sharing that with others. But yeah, sorry, I just had to say that because that's what I thought about. I always think about that with authenticity. Isis,
Love
you were
that.
about to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think one of the biggest challenges that I know we face and that a lot of collective giving groups or networks or others face is that it's a complicated thing. It's not easy to say. It's not, a crowdfunding campaign. Here's a link, drop your dollars, and that it is complex, and also complexity can be brought down into simplicity if you really think about the values that drive you. Do you think your friend will want to join because they want to learn more, because they want to be with people that they love, because they want to explore their own values? Like, what are the things that drive each of us in this work? And how can you then share that message? Once they join, their eyes will open to the 10 other things that
True.
they didn't know or might not have convinced them. And so I think sometimes all of us have a hard time trying to shove all 10 things down somebody's face instead of just really connecting one-on-one, as you're saying, Sada, getting them in and then letting them see the beauty that is collective giving.
And I think we need to, put the plug of our whatisagivincircle.com
Totally.
website. And hopefully we will have What is a Collaborative Fund in the near future.
I love
But
that.
our whatisagivincircle.com website is in English, Spanish, German, Mandarin, and Portuguese. And if you are in another country with another language that you want us to translate that website, just let us know and we will do it. It's extremely simple to understand and it's a great, recruitment tool to get more people in your collective giving group.
That is a good shameless plug, Saturn. Like in terms of raising awareness, I love that, and just so true. What is thegivingcircle.com? Y'all go check it out. And our last piece of our conversation, I can talk to y'all all day because Saturn, Isis, y'all have been in this for a decade plus. I feel like this movement, and I admire y'all so much as leaders. Not only just here at Philanthropy Together, but just for the broader movement. And so I want to just ask you all, like in your hearts, just kind of turn personal. Like what, as we are thinking about, we about to wrap up. Can't believe 2023 is almost done. And as we head into the new year, and beyond, what do y'all feel? What do you foresee the landscape of collective giving evolving to be in the next coming years? What is it going to look like for us? Big question.
Go, Isis.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I think what I hope for is that we reach a little bit more of a tipping point. I think I'm sure we've all seen that research that it takes 3.5% of a unit to make some tipping point change. And I feel that's where collective giving is at. And that's why we're trying to share this much bigger story of not just giving circles, but giving circles and SVPs and giving projects and women's funds and collaborative funds and mutual aid groups. Like all of these groups are working towards a more just and beautiful world, and are doing it in different ways and are including different people. And I think the more that we can see all of ourselves in that groundswell of effort that has the same North Star, even if your model is different than my model is different than your model, that I hope will have a tipping point effect on on how people understand collective giving, get involved in collective giving, and ultimately how that then achieves our mission of diversifying and democratizing philanthropy.
I love that. What
Yes,
about you,
totally.
Saturn?
I'm a
I
total
agree.
optimist, and I do feel, once people get involved, once they get into the door, and you experience the magic that is being part of a collective giving group, you will
Mhm.
stay and you will bring people along with you. So, um, I do think we just need more eyes, right? More awareness across the globe. Um, More young people involved, and yeah, I'm very excited and hopeful about that. And I feel that, there are many, the beauty of the model also is that you can tweak and make your own rules of engagement,
Mhm.
whatever fits your group. And I feel that we have seen very, innovative approaches on this kind of work. Like Ty, you and I were together when we learned about this particular giving circle, the SAM initiative in LA,
Mhm.
supporting, CDFIs, right? Community Development
Yep.
Financial Institutions, to support women to start their own business. That is, something that had not been done before. And many other giving circles were very intrigued, right, on how to do that, because it's literally creating systemic change, right?
Yeah.
And Isis, I know you have other examples of innovative collaborative funds.
I
Yeah,
know.
there's so many. Go.
No, please, Isis. I was just about no, she teed up my question for you.
Yeah, there's so many doing incredible work. I'm inspired by Emergent Fund that moves money
Yeah.
every single month to frontline first responding organizations and activists. Like, it's just the speed at which they operate. They're a two-person team. It's absolutely
Oh,
incredible. Send your money there right now. I think about Right Relations Collaborative that has it does work with Indigenous communities, and they have a council of aunties that is fully made up of Indigenous aunties and leaders. Funders have to apply to this council of aunties in order to be a part of the collaborative and fuel that work. So there's so many unique and engaging ways that people are really shifting when we're talking about power and equity and trust
mhm.
building. There are models out there that are doing that work day in and day out, and that's what inspires me.
The Council of Aunties. Okay, so now I have to plug in my what I foresee, even though y'all didn't ask me. I really been thinking about language, y'all. For collective giving, I feel that the language that really would resonate with the people, like all it, because we use such kind of like jargon sometimes, collective funds, and sometimes that gets in a way. Like, it's when I think about, like, I think about the language of collective giving and how it would get so simplified in a way where people can digest it. I'm a mama of five, and so where my babies can digest it, and I'm not having to say, Kobe, this is what right, like, to where he'll get it, like it'll be like a everyday language or something like that. Like, that's what I hope for us, for the movement. And yeah, like that. In technology, I can see a lot of tech platforms and better ways and how we're utilizing tech. And like, I could see collective giving in the workplace, collective giving in schools in some kind of way. Like, I don't know, where we are using technology to advance the movement in that way. So language and tech is what I'm like really excited about, as far as with our expansion. All right, y'all, we got to wrap up. We got 2 minutes. I have one final question, because a lot of times we sit in these conversations, and which even today we've touched on so much. But I want y'all to have just one. If there's one thing that folks need to take with them from our conversation today, y'all, just one. Okay, what is it? What is the one thing that you want to share with our audience today to carry with them forward?
I
And the
go.
theme of
Okay.
collective giving is here to stay. wrapping that back, bringing that title back.
I mean, you know what I'm going to say. I always say it is just do it. Like literally, if you are not part of a collective giving group yet, join one or start your own. And if you are already part of a giving circle or you are already giving collaboratively in a collaborative fund or you're part of a women's fund, take action this week and bring
Mhm.
2 or 3 people along with you. Talk about why they should join your group or other group. Like, it literally is, this is peer to peer, this is word of mouth. It's people power philanthropy. We all need to get involved.
And I think I'd go back to what I said about where you start isn't where you end. And I hope that for anyone out there who is not part of this work yet, you don't have to have a perfect plan. You don't have to have a name and a shiny logo. Like you can just have 5 friends over for dinner and talk about your values. Don't even talk about how much money, don't talk about where you're giving it. Like just talk about your values and connect as humans. Bring new people to the table that might not have sat around your living room table before and see what happens. And I guarantee you that something amazing will come out of it.
Isis Satter, y'all are special. I love and adore you two so very much. And thank you for just sharing your hearts and knowledge, your expertise. For those of you all, like my one item or one takeaway for today is I hope that y'all will continue to stay with Philanthropy Together and follow us, like carry us with you moving forward into 2024. We're here. We exist solely for the movement of collective giving. And so we want to think about the ways and how we can partner and be thought partners and support you. And so look at us as being aunties of PHT, so to speak. And so carry us with you all as you really actualize and get out here and figure out your own way and how you're going to get involved in this movement because we want you here and we need you here. So thank you all so much for joining us. We're going to see y'all for the next round. Look at us, y'all. We wrapped up collective conversations this year, and I'm excited about the topics and the leaders that we'll bring forward in this series for next year. So we will see you then. Thank you so much for joining us. Y'all take good care of yourself.
Thank you, Ty.
Bye. Thank you, Ty.
Happy New
You're
Year.
welcome. Thank y'all.